I'm Melissa Wirtz. I live here in Oceanside. I'm a teacher, I'm a sixth grade teacher in math and science. Last November, the first weekend in November, I found a lump in my right breast, and obviously that was really worrisome. And because I'm under the age of 40, I couldn't just go and get a mammogram. I had to be referred for that. So that was just a scary process in itself, just the wait for having that mammogram and ultrasound. And it was November 17th when I finally got the call back that yes, it was cancer, and that I was going to need to meet with a team of surgeon, oncologist, to help me go through this next, I guess, journey is what they call it, of my life. I had just turned 36, and I just kept saying, why is this happening to me? I'm way too young for this. And everyone kept telling me that as well. Through the whole course of my journey, I have found out that cancer doesn't discriminate. So it doesn't matter really how old you are. You can be a 4-year-old, a 36-year-old, or someone that's older. But so on December 1st, I met with my surgeon, my oncologist, and my radiologist, and we came up with a game plan that I would do 6 rounds of chemotherapy first, because my breast cancer was really invasive, and they wanted to start getting after it first before we'd go in and do a double mastectomy. So I started my chemo treatment because of the holidays. Then I had to wait until the very beginning of January. And so I was on a 4-regimen treatment. I was on Taxotere, which is what caused my hair loss, carboplasm, Perjeta, and Herceptin. Herceptin is what I'm still being treated for a year, every 3 weeks. So I did 6 rounds for every 3 weeks, and the 4 regimen that I was on is to help treat the type of breast cancer that I have. I'm triple positive, so I'm estrogen receptive positive, progesterone receptive positive, so my hormones, and then what's called HER2. And I finished all the hormone actual chemotherapy, and now I'm still on my treatment for the HER2. So I'll be doing that every 3 weeks until this next January, so a full year. So I lost all my hair. I obviously became really sick and ill. I live by myself, but I have such a great support of my family and friends who were there for me through this whole thing. I had to take a leave of absence from work because I'm a teacher, and just because my white blood cell counts go so low, that I would just be sick the whole time if I was at work. And that was a really, really hard thing for me to go through because I love what I do, and just like normacy, routine, and not having that, plus being at my house alone, was very difficult. Also, I found out, and this is even before I started the chemo, that I wouldn't be able to have children because of the chemo that I was going to be using, and because my cancer goes after hormones. So if you're pregnant, then obviously your hormones are going through something different. So that was almost a bigger blow to me than even finding out that I had cancer. I'm a very positive person too, but I was in this place where it's just, you feel defeated at times. And I started a support group. I reached out and found the Young Survivor Coalition, which is women under the age of 40 that have been diagnosed with breast cancer. And one of the girls saw a flyer at Black Sheep Yoga, and she knew that I had gone there previously before my diagnosis, and was like, oh my gosh, they have, there's this nonprofit foundation called Be Well that does it at the yoga studio that you used to go to. And I was like, oh, that's perfect. And I went for the first time and just fell in love with Heidi and Mary and the group of people that were there, and found out that they had a few other locations. But just the fact that I could leave my house and go somewhere to feel good, feel like you're doing exercise, stretching, doing something that's good for yourself. It was like an addiction. The first week after my treatments, I was very ill, and so I wouldn't be able to go that week. And then the second week, my blood counts were very low, so I was weak, but I still had the energy to go. And what I like about Be Well too is when we're there, they ask if you're not feeling up for it, just let us know and we won't touch you and all that stuff. And I had to wave my hand a few of those times and just let them know I'm here, but like I can't really be touched because my immune system is very compromised right now. But then the next week, the week leading up to my chemo, my strongest week, I was like, yes, touch me. Do the little temple massages and light touch massage on my shoulder. It felt really good. I not only went to the Black Sheep, but I was going to the Yoga 6 Be Well ones, and then even to the one in Vista. And I would work my appointments even around the yoga, just because I know it made me feel so good to just feel good when I'm there. The motion, the movement, the stretches, and I think it really helped bring the positivity back, my energy back, and I referred it out to a lot of my friends at the Young Survivor Coalition. Most of them live down in San Diego area, and hopefully soon, as they're branching out, we can get something very similar to this. If it's not even Be Well, hopefully it is down more in San Diego so that they can participate in it too, because I just rave to them all the time, and they look at me and they're like, wow, that's so great that you're going to yoga and doing something for yourself a few times a week, because I feel like Mary and Heidi kind of like saved me in some sort of way, just the great feeling that it has. And they always send you those intention cards, and I saved all those, and so on my bad days, like right after chemo, I would get those out and read through them. Right before my double mastectomy, they did some private sessions with me to do some imagery, because they knew I was getting lots of anxiety leading up to this. Not only had I gone through chemo, but now I'm doing this next step that's just something that I never thought I'd have to be going through. And so we met together, and they're doing this on their own time, which is just so fabulous that they're helping me, and they really do care for each individual that goes in there. They started to actually know my treatment plan, so if I wasn't coming in, they would call me or text me and say, hey, we haven't seen you in a while, and it's like, well, I just had my treatment and I'm sick. And then they started to learn, okay, so her first week she's not going to be coming in after her treatment, but then we'll see her again, and so forth. And that just felt amazing that my doctors don't even know my schedule that well, and here they really paid attention to when I was there and when I didn't come, and that I was going in for the surgery, and that they knew my anxiety was high. And so they focused on this imagery to help me kind of practice a meditation while I was at the hospital right prior to my surgery. So the imagery actually did help me focus, because when I got to the hospital, there was a lot of other patients that were going through stuff and doctors shuffling around, and then they actually told me that they're transferring me in hospitals, and I was already kind of re-prepped and ready for this, and now I'm moving hospitals. It was kind of a freaky situation. I wasn't too happy about it, but obviously we had to keep going forward, and so I actually did do all the imagery that we had practiced, and it did help me. Before I knew it, I was being wheeled into the next hospital, actually saying hi to the mothers that were coming out that had just given birth, going, oh, congratulations. I just felt like I was like a much more positive person, like going into it, whereas just a few minutes ago I was having this high anxiety, almost in tears, that I was switching hospitals. So I went in for double mastectomy right into reconstruction. Everything went great. They went in for my lymph nodes too, and my lymph nodes tested negative. So pretty much you're not cancer free at that point, but it was a good sign knowing that it hadn't spread, because it was in my lymphatic system at one time, but it didn't actually spread to my lymph nodes. Through the reconstruction process, about 6 weeks ago, my expanders were actually going through my skin, And this was due to the fact that just using your pectoral muscles, my expanders are behind my breast muscles, and since I don't have any more breast tissue at all, it's just my skin is so thin that my expanders were actually going through the skin, and since I have no feeling anymore because they took out everything, I couldn't tell until I took off the compression bra and the bands and saw that I had open sores. And so that was a huge setback. They had to then take all the saline out, 6 weeks of just uncomfortable muscles getting stretched and going in every week to get expanded, and now it was the setback. So they had to take everything out, and we had to start from scratch after the sores had healed. And about to the point where I got back to when it first began, it happened again, but this time we were able to catch it right away. So we just had to put it on hold for a little bit. So now we're doing fills that are a lot smaller, and the length of time, the wait time is a lot longer in between. But now the game plan is changing again because we are hoping to do the swap surgery, which they take out the expanders and put the implants in before I start radiation. But because of the time, my radiologist needs to do her part and do the radiation. So now I might have to wait and do the other surgery after radiation. And if you do that, you have to wait 6 to 8 months. So it looks like I have another year of finishing up my Herceptin, which will end in January, starting my radiation in a month, and I'll go every day for 6 weeks, and then surgery hopefully in July. So when I've come to Be Well now, we have to do lots more modifications, which they're amazing at. And so I just really can't use any upper body muscle. Just the fear that if I flex my pectoral muscles too, just if I kept doing that, that we might have the high risk of it going through my skin tissue again. So that's where I'm at right now. And again, just Be Well has just been an amazing motivation for me. It's also been something that helps me relax, and just the people that I've met through this, all cancer patients, it sucks. The initiation sucks, but I feel like the friendships will be there forever, especially with Mary and Heidi, because like I said, they're just so intuitive into everyone's journeys and really there for all of us, and they've just been a lifesaver for me.